Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Let's Move Austin. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel. I'm here with your host, Teresa Bastian. Hello, Teresa.
Hello, Chris. Hello, everybody.
We're on fire today. This might be the shortest episode ever, simply because the life of a successful real estate agent is busy.
But not too busy to talk about inspections.
Right. Well, let's do that because I think inspections are a big deal when it comes to buying a house or selling a house.
They really are. And it matters equally for the seller and buyer to be prepared. So let's get ready.
Yeah. So what do we need to know about home inspections from buyers, sellers, all that stuff?
Well, from the seller's perspective, there's probably a little less to know. So let's start there. If you're selling your home and you've lived there a very long time, you may wish to hire a home inspector to come in and do a pre-sale inspection.
Yep. So smart.
You would get the inspection report, and then you would be able to work down the list of items that are noted so that when a buyer does their own inspection, most of those items are already going to be addressed. So they're not feeling overwhelmed with a lot of little things.
Sometimes sellers can, there's a lot of money that can exchange hands in a negotiation around an inspection. So buyers will ask for a lot of repairs sometimes that cost the seller a lot of money that wouldn't have happened if they had just done the repairs before they put the house in the market.
Exactly. And if you as the seller handle this ahead of time, then you have control over when it's being scheduled. You can shop around for maybe a good rate. When the inspection is done, when the house is under contract, the timelines are already moving, and it can feel a lot of pressure to address items then.
Yep.
So
also, I like
side pre-listing inspection is an option.
I love the idea too of showing the buyer the inspection and being like, here's the inspection we had. So everything's transparent. Cause I think in this economy, people are like, or this day and age, people are like, transparency is so valuable.
Right. And I've seen them, I've had clients do this where we do the inspection, put it in a binder, and then every item, we literally take a tab and put if there was a hot water heater that needed to have the pan replaced because it was rusty, then we've got the receipt from the plumber showing when they were out to do that work. Especially for buyers that are highly detail oriented, they love this. And if there's, 3 or 4 homes in a neighborhood around the same price, and one of them has clearly been maintained up to date, it can be a little edge for your house getting the sale.
Absolutely. Yep. I love it. Got it. What do buyers need to know about home inspections?
Can I say a couple more things about the seller side?
Yeah, of course. It's your show, whatever you want. Yeah, keep going.
Back up, Chris. Let me done.
I'm trying to fast track it here, but let's go back
We're not going to fast track at the loss of content, Chris. That's not how I roll.
Let's uphold the integrity
first.
Yes, I love it.
One other thing that sometimes comes up from a seller side on inspections, especially if the home is vacant, please remember it is still the seller's obligation to have the utilities on. I've gone to several inspections where the gas is turned off. Maybe the seller's left the electricity on, but the gas is a separate bill, so they cut the gas. Well, that just means the inspector is going to have to come back to test the stove, the HVAC, sometimes a hot water heater, and that's another expense and delay. So you will not, you're not supposed to turn the utilities off. So don't do that, sellers.
Yeah, if you're out of town. That doesn't really happen if you're in town, but if you're out of town.
Or if the house is vacant. Let's say it was your investment property, the tenants moved out, and you're selling it. You might think, I don't really need to put the gas on, for example. Perfect. That seems to be the one that throws people up the most. You need all the utilities on for an inspection.
Yep, perfect. Okay.
On the buyer side, the inspection is really, really, really critical. And especially the older the home, the more things naturally that an inspector is going to find.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so it's important to have an inspector who is thorough, but also not alarmist.
Yeah, right.
Because your average inspection report is going to be between 17 and 30 pages.
Wow.
And if you are expecting, this house to be pristine, you might just get thrown by the amount of paper that your report is.
Right.
That's not a reason to get thrown. You want to just take it and go step by step. And first of all, just read the report.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing that happens a lot is buyers will not go to the inspection. And I think that's a mistake. I recommend that buyers attend the inspection.
Yep. I think it's great too. Cause I remember we would have buyers follow along with the inspector. They get asked questions. There was it was getting to know the house. It was kind of like a walk around with a car. Like you're getting to know the house as people are looking in places you don't normally look.
I like to call it your home inspection report is your introduction to your home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Like the behind the scenes of the home. And it doesn't mean that every item that's written in the report is going to be fixed by the seller. Some things are just not going to be possible to negotiate through, but it's for you to be aware of what you might need to focus on for your future, home improvement, handyman weekend type of things.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So good. That's so good. I think too, I remember times buyers would get concerned when things would pop up on the report, even though the inspector maybe wasn't trying to be an alarmist, that the buyer would see the report and freak out about like, oh my gosh, it has a leak. Well, they wouldn't freak out about a leaky faucet, but I mean, I'm just like,
sometimes it's confusing and the technical terms for things are often not what you and I would use. The dishwasher doesn't have a sanitary loop. What do you mean? My kitchen's not sanitary? It's just a piece of flexible tubing. Even I can install one from Home Depot, but sometimes the terminology is a little bit excessive. And again, if you've gone through with that inspector, you're going to remember, oh yeah, I remember he talked about this. Oh yeah, I remember he talked about this.
Right.
If you can't be there in person for the whole inspection, which is generally a couple of hours long, most inspectors will give you, I'll probably be wrapping up by this time. And then you can come for the last, say, half hour and they'll show you the highlights.
Got it.
And oftentimes if I've got clients that have really tough work schedules, if they can time it where the inspector's kind of wrapping up on your lunch break, that can be a nice way to bridge the gap and still be there for some of it in person.
Yeah, I like that.
At the minimum, you need to work with an inspector who will take your phone calls after the inspection is done. So when you get that report, you're not relying on me to interpret it. We can go straight to the person who, saw it and is licensed to talk about those things.
How do we find the inspector if we're a buyer or a seller? How do we find an inspector?
Oh, you should just go online and pick the first one. No, just kidding.
Such a kidder.
I do keep a list of inspectors that clients of mine have used with success, that have felt good communication, not alarmist. I like someone that can kind of take a little more time with especially first-time buyers who literally probably have never seen a hot water heater before. So I keep a list along those lines, but it's up to the buyer to choose the inspector, unless the seller's doing that pre-listing inspection, then they're in the driver's seat. But the buyer will hire the inspector, the buyer will pay for the inspection, and the buyer will own that inspection report. It doesn't automatically get given to anyone else.
Got it. Okay.
So I would use me as a resource. And inspectors, like anybody else in the service industry, there's a lot of ratings you can find online. But it's important to give a call and talk to the person if you're a little bit anxious about who you're hiring, and ask them some questions. See if communication-wise, this is someone that you feel trusting.
Good. I love it. Anything else we need to know about inspections at this moment?
Well, I would say it is a critical phase of the home buying process. I have had clients that just ultimately, get in there and are overwhelmed by how much work is needed and the dollar amounts on the work. And, it is a valid reason to cancel a contract. If you're in Texas, we have an option period. Most people do the inspection in that time, and you can cancel for any reason. I would say the largest reason people do cancel is because of the inspection results.
Right.
But more often than not, you might take that list. Let's say there's 12 or 13 items on the list. Focus on the 3 or 4 that are most concerning to you. And then we can ask the seller if they will take care of those items or lower the price in lieu of them doing the work to, kind of offset so that my buyers would have more ability to do that work. So it's an opportunity for renegotiation. And you have to be patient for that, but typically it works out unless the house is just too much, the buyer wants to walk away. Typically, if there were 14 items, you might get 3 or 4, but hopefully they're the big high dollar ones that were most important to you.
Perfect. I love it. That's so good. Well, if people want to reach out to you for recommendations on an inspector, or maybe they want to talk to you about buying or selling, like how do they reach you?
You can give me a call at 512-297-3442. Number should be on the screen.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Teresa.
Okay.
Thanks for a great episode. We'll catch you next time. See ya. Thanks.